Greetings, Avoider here reporting with my top 10 games of 2015. The games on this list are titles I got to play and or experience within the same year of release, which is 2015. If I didn't play it then, it's not here. Unfortunately, that means no Metal Gear Solid 5 and The Witcher 3, because I didn't get to play those in that year. As of this recording, I just bought The Witcher Trilogy, and I plan to go through MGS as well in 2016. So, it's not like I'm missing out. But for now, these are my top 10 games of 2015. Number 10 is Soma. It's not much of a game. You fetch stuff and put it on stuff, as the disembodied female scientist tells you. But I'm really into the concept and how frictional games took it, tackling philosophical questions of where our conscious human selves truly reside in, as well as ethics in science, the end of civilization, the pursuit of happiness, and so on. It's basically reverse Matrix. Humanity's last hope is to reside in a computer program instead of escaping one. Number 9 is Ori and the Blind Forest. I'm not much for platformers. I'm of the opinion that once you play one 2D platformer, you kind of play them all. I know, kinda ignorant. But the quality on this title is hard to deny, kinda Pixar-y in its animation and narrative. I'm a bit partial to Metroidvania-style games, so I did get a bit into it. I think it's better than Ubisoft's Child of Light in a lot of ways, so I had to put this one on this list. Number 8 is Sunless Sea. This top-down roguelite adventure game is some of the most intriguing lore I've seen in a while. There's a good bit of meat to dig into while sailing the Z from fallen London to the frigid ice to the north, the treacherous waters of the south, and just about anywhere else. You have to keep your crew happy and alive while avoiding the wrath of the gods and vicious enemies out to get you as you fulfill whatever goals you choose for yourself. Number 7 is Pillars of Eternity. It's down here because I have a few misgivings about the system and the writing, but it's not enough to not impress me. There's still so much to like, such as the lore, the different races, the story, the fact that you become something like a psychic detective of sorts, and how the gameplay stays true to the party-based RPG gameplay that classics such as Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale first established. It indeed pays good tribute to Black Isle. Number 6 is Starcraft II Legacy of the Void. I've been a Protoss player since Starcraft 1 because the original Protoss campaign. So I was very excited for this one, but why this game is down here below the top 5 is because, well, of the story. I dislike it less than Heart of the Swarm, which perplexed me greatly, but the ending exasperates me. Despite that, I quite like the multiplayer. It's faster, more dynamic, and winning feels great. I guess I'm just biased towards StarCraft in general. Number 5 is Shadowrun Hong Kong. The second isometric RPG on this list. I got to play this a bit more than Pillars of Eternity, and I'm very much into both the turn-based combat and this in-game world since I'm a fan of Cyberpunk. This game just hits the right amount of Hong Kong. Not too heavy on stereotypes, just enough to set the tone. The story itself is pretty good. There's much to dig into. This title is a must-play, much like Shadowrun Dragonfall. Number 4 is Undertale. Two biggest reasons to hate on this game: either the gameplay doesn't click with you, or the fanboys irritate you. The former is understandable, the latter means you have issues. This game does deserve most of its hype, but it's like a diesel engine, it takes time to warm up. It's neither for the impatient nor the unappreciative. But the meta humor, deconstruction of RPG tropes, and how the gameplay ties into the story are well worth the price of admission. Number 3 is Invisible Incorporated. I'm a sucker for visuals like these, and I appreciate tactical stealth gameplay immensely, which is why I had to play this game. Invisible Incorporated combines turn-based stealth tactics with roguelike elements, a bit like XCOM Enemy Unknown. The levels are randomized, each run of the same mission never plays the same way twice. You can also rewind to your last turn for a limited number of times whenever you make a mistake, and you're going to need it since this game is far from easy. Number 2 is Hotline Miami 2, Wrong Number. It's a more story-driven game than the first one, which gives it a different flavor. Also, more weapons, more blood, more masks. Tony the Tiger can't use guns anymore, and the Alex and Ash mask combo is a great deal of fun. The soundtrack is also really good, even better than that of the first game. The mission Death Wish with Carpenter Brute's Roller Mobster, for me, is definitely the high point. Before I reveal my number 1, an honorable mention. City Skylines. It showed the world that city building simulators are still definitely a thing in this day and age. It's yet another title that proves that not all gamers on this planet have ADHD and only want to shoot and blow things up. Not only is it a very solid city builder, there are tons of mods now that fix faults and enhance everything else. While EA stumbled, Colossal Order and Paradox took their place. And before moving on, here's a recap of numbers 10 to 2. Number 1 is none other than Fallout 4. It does have many faults. Role-playing is very lacking, dialogue system is jank, story is kinda bland, and so on. There's also the settlement building that I don't care much for. I hate fumbling with it, in fact. It's certainly inferior to New Vegas in terms of depth. This only has fetch quests and kill everything missions. It's by far the least Fallout of all the Fallout games. But despite that, I've sunk over 100 hours into it and will definitely sink hundreds more. It's still more than good enough for me to get lost in, and that's what I value most. Exploration, environmental storytelling, lore, they're all still here. I already knew it'd be a different game compared to other Fallout games when they showed a voiced protagonist in E3, so I was prepared for something different. The better gunplay got me addicted, and yes, I remember what I just said about shooting and blowing things up earlier in this video, but I do love killing enemies here. Whenever I get a better weapon mod, I'd be raring to go back out to test it. The power armor is cool too. Getting into one and fighting with it makes me feel like I've transformed into a more powerful version of myself. Also, I guess I'm a sucker for Bethesda stealth. My favorite way to play in this is still as a sniper/assassin. I played one in Skyrim many times, and I'm playing one here as well. Twice. Somehow I really got the game I wanted in Fallout 4. And that's about it for this top 10 list. Here's to an awesome 2016, which is looking good considering this year's pending releases. As for the other good games that came out in 2015, well, that's another video. Until next time, Avoider out.